Hello, all. Well, I've asked several times in my content, is it over? You all know that when talking about it, when talking about the World Health Crisis, I've started talking in code because YouTube and those who run it don't necessarily want us talking about certain things. And if you're new here, my channel at one point was removed, and those same individuals at YouTube were gracious enough to restore it and my data. So I have an article here on the World Health event, the coronavirus. There, I said it. I may talk around certain parts of this article for reasons I just described. I want to acknowledge who I got this article from. I saw this. This was tweeted by Mrs. Maya Rocky Moore Cummings, who is the wife of the late Elijah Cummings. I follow her on Twitter, and she shared this, and this is a science story. And so I thought that with this being a science and technology channel, I thought that this was worth sharing over here. So thank you, Mrs. Cummings. Okay, this is in the science and medicine section of the LA Times. So to those at YouTube and the YouTube algorithm, this is for educational purposes only. This is not to refute the WHO. This is for the sake of science, current events, and this is for educational purposes only. All right. This article is entitled "The Coronavirus Has Infected New York City's Rats. Why That's Bad News for People." This was written by Melissa Healy, and it was published on March 10th, 2023. And the thumbnail there is a picture of a rat. This reads, "A rat crosses a subway platform in New York City's Times Square." Yeah, so if you've been to New York City and you've ridden the subways, I did that quite a bit when I was in my salsa dancing days, and I was going to New York City pretty regularly to dance. If you get on if you get on the subway, particularly late at night, you can see mice and rodents running around the tracks and into all the cracks and crevices and holes down there on the tracks. It was something to see, and it is something to see. Okay. Rats whose populations in cities exploded during the pandemic have now joined the list of wildlife believed to be capable of catching and transmitting the virus that causes C-19, new research finds. In a study published Thursday in the journal MBio, researchers showed that rats, like dogs, cats, hamsters, ferrets, and humans' other close cohabitants, can pick up the pandemic virus from the environment. From their environment. They don't appear to get very sick. None of the wild rats deliberately infected in a lab lost weight or died as a result. But when the rats were exposed to the Alpha, Delta, and Omicron variants of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, researchers found evidence of robust viral replication in the animals' noses, mouths, throats, and lungs. In addition, a detailed examination of 79 so-called brown rats, Rattus norvegicus, collected in and around the sewers of New York City, turned up telltale signs that 13 had been exposed to the coronavirus and developed an immune response. Indeed, PCR testing Of the rats' respiratory tissues suggested that 4 of the 79 rats had active infections when they were euthanized. PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction, so they were able to assay the rat's DNA to tell if the virus was there. The research was conducted by scientists from the United States Department of Agriculture, the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, and the University of Missouri. It brings to 11 the number of known wildlife reservoirs for the pandemic virus, which has been shown to infect deer, mink, otters, gorillas, lions, and tigers as well. The virus's presence in all those species not only ensures the coronavirus will never disappear from our midst, it also raises the possibility that as the ever-changing virus adapts to new and very different hosts, it will evolve in ways that make it unrecognizable to humans who thought they had become immune to it. Brown rats, also known as Norway rats, have coexisted with humans for thousands of years and are prolific transmitters of human diseases. Exposure to their feces, urine, or saliva is known to spread hantavirus, leptospirosis, lymphocytic choriomeningitis, tularemia, and salmonella. As the pandemic winds down, the new findings suggest a frightening scenario in which wild rats, whose population in United States cities have seen explosive growth in the last 3 years, could become not only a vector for reinfection of humans, but also a source of new variants that evade our protection from immunizations or past infections. If the coronavirus recombines with another virus carried by rats, or if it simply evolves to spread more readily within that population, the result could be a novel pathogen capable of rebooting the pandemic, the study authors said. The findings underscore the need for further monitoring of SARS-CoV-2 in rat populations for potential transmission to humans, they wrote. Other researchers have suggested that biological differences between humans and wild rats have made this wildlife population particularly fertile ground for introducing mutations into the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The authors cite a study that suggests that rodents may have played a role in the evolution of the Omicron variant. This surmise is grounded in the fact that some of Omicron's mutations improved the virus's ability to latch onto rodent cells even more than they improved its attachment to human cells. But co-author Henry Wen of the University of Missouri School of Medicine acknowledged this is still just speculation. There remains the challenge of knowing whether and how infected rats could transmit the coronavirus to humans. The study authors demonstrated that in laboratory conditions, rats infected with a related coronavirus developed infections and shed virus. And like humans, these rats could be infected repeatedly. The finding that these infected rats are capable of spreading their germs raises the disconcerting prospect that as free-range rats scurry across surfaces touched by humans, their noses could deposit respiratory secretions that deliver the virus to people. While aerosol transmission has been the primary means by which the coronavirus has spread among humans, acquiring the virus through touch is a concern as well. Once again, this article is entitled "The Coronavirus Has Infected New York City's Rats. Why That's Bad News for People." And once again, I want to credit Maya Rocky Moore Cummings on Twitter for sharing this. That's where I found this. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that YouTube does not remove this video. I think it's very, very insightful. And one of the questions I've been asking all along as the mask mandates have fallen away and as we've gotten back to quote unquote normal living conditions and habits Is it over, or are we in just a bit of a temporary lull and there's something else coming on the horizon? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. This is also a little concerning because New York City and Washington, D.C. are not very far away. We're just a matter of hours away. And if something is appearing in New York City, it could easily appear or spread quickly down here to the DMV. This is Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Please like, share, and subscribe, especially if you're new. If you want to donate something to the channel, that information is below in the description box. And please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer with 2 blogs and a book project in process. All right, everyone, until the next time, as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude, and always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.